Hello, I am here. It is 3 o'clock. I am going to start right on time because that is what I do. And anyone who is choosing to join live will be on here in a minute or two. And everyone else is planning to catch the playback later today. I know a lot of people have work and school, other family commitments, so I am going to leave the video up, maybe indefinitely, at least a few days, so that people can watch it when they are available to. So, for those of you who do not know me, I am Stacy Anderson. I'm just gonna start. I'm just gonna tell you my story. I kind of panicked and when I saw how many people were interested in attending this class. So I called my mom to come. I had planned it for nap time. And I called my mom to come and be with the kids so that I could stay focused. This is a little bit larger of a class than I had intended. This was just planned for some team members and close friends who have been asking, and it grew a little bit bigger. So, that's good. That's good. So, I'm just going to start. I'm just going to tell it. This is not a story that I tell often from start to finish for a couple reasons. It's emotional to me, is one, and it's involved. So my story is not going to be take this oil, take this supplement, and then good. That's that. That's not the testimony that I have, and that is what a lot of people tend to look for. I have had people message or call or whatever and ask me, you know, what did you take, what did you use, and it's really not that simple for me with what I went through because it may not be the same for you and what you're going through, and the focus of my testimony, my story, is more to encourage you to empower yourself to be the author of your own story and to be in control of your own life. So right from the beginning, I am not a doctor. This is not medical advice. I am not diagnosing, treating, prescribing, anything of the sort. Everything that I say is my own opinion, no one else's. No one endorses it. It's just me. So I think that covers it. I made myself some notes, but I don't really need them. I remember my own story pretty well. So I started having issues with my monthly cycle around 18, 19 years old. And it was almost an instantaneous crash kind of thing. I went from regular, pretty mild cycles to none. I might have 1 to 3 periods per calendar year. And that would be pretty normal for me. So, when I started seeing, Western medicine doctors, it was just always kind of, oh no, the advice I received initially was not to worry about it, as it was not a problem until I wanted to conceive, which was not an answer I was pleased with. I didn't want to wait until it was a problem. And also, it was a problem because something's not functioning right and I don't feel good. It doesn't feel good to not have a regular cycle. It doesn't. So those types of answers were very frustrating for me. And I also quickly was given all sorts of, PCOS, definitely, those types of things. I think they throw that around a lot more than is necessarily true. true for it. Like, that is a specific and serious thing, and no one ever did any testing or any type of probing, even just with speaking with me. It was just kind of like, oh, your periods aren't right and you're all messed up. Oh yeah, PCOS, and you're gonna have a, good luck if you want to have kids and stuff, and that's a real big mess. And there's really nothing we do for you right now except hormonal birth control, which was a mistake that I tried for 3 months, and it ruined me. I had all kinds of issues with my skin. I gained weight right away. I turned into a psychopath, and I could not control my own emotions, and it was very unlike me to be nasty. I was nasty. And I had not educated myself on what all that entails, what that does to your body, and I thought it was fine. I knew that birth control pills were abortifacient, but since I was not married and having sex, I left it at that, which was my mistake. I'm responsible for that mistake that I made. But what that did do for me is it set me up to not want to go the Western medicine route for dealing with my problems. So when that didn't help and everybody said, well, that's all we were going to do, I went through several years of doing nothing and just kind of coasting. I got married in 2009, and we waited a couple years before we started trying, which obviously we knew we were going to have a problem. But even then, nobody wants to talk to you until you can get the standard definition of infertility, which is intentional, unprotected sex for the point of reproducing for at least 12 consecutive calendar months in a row that does not produce a pregnancy. So until you have that, nobody wants to talk to you anyway. So we just kind of, we don't know what we're doing, this and that. And I did reading. I finally started doing some reading. And it seemed like the very first thing that everyone always does for couples who are struggling to conceive is to prescribe Clomid. And so I looked it up. I did just a little bit of reading on that, and that was enough for me to decide I was not comfortable with that in my body. I was not comfortable with the risks. I was not comfortable with the fact that the makers of that drug recommend not using it for more than 1 or 2 cycles in someone's lifetime because of the increased risk of cancer. And that's from the makers of the drug. So I knew I didn't want that for that reason, and because it's what they give to everyone. It's like the catch-all. It doesn't matter what your problem is, this is what we're going to do. You can't get pregnant, so you're going to try this, and maybe it'll work. I had a couple friends who both had contributing factors to their inability to conceive easily, and they were both prescribed Clomid, different doses, but the same medication for very different issues. Okay, so the female in the relationship was not ovulating and had very low progesterone. The male in the relationship had a very low sperm count, and the shape of his sperm was incorrect, in addition to the fact that he was exceedingly overweight. So those are very different problems, factors, whatever you want to call it, but they were given the same treatment. And as soon as that happened, that just really solidified for me that most of the time it just sounded like they didn't know what they were doing. Let's just throw this at it real quick and see what happens, because it works for some people, but it doesn't for others. And I was not comfortable with just trying something that somebody was just trying to see, and the risk that was involved there, especially after my previous experience with only 3 months of the birth control pills and how my body reacted to that. And I could immediately see that was not what I wanted. That was not healthy for me. So we never actually pursued any traditional Western medicine options. We never even had any testing. I was aware, very much so, that I had issues going on, and the first step is usually to test the husband, as it is far less invasive, the testing that they go through, and less expensive. And I would not even allow that, because it was embarrassing to me, and it was invasive to our relationship to me, and I was unwilling to go there. From the start, I said, that's not it. You're not listening to me. That's not it. We're not doing this, because that's not it. That's not where we need to be looking. So that's how the beginning went. And I just I knew what I didn't want, but I didn't know what I did want. So I was floundering. And for me, this is the way it went down. It's different for everyone. But I eventually had a friend who privately approached me and said, I have the phone number for this guy, and he's a naturopath doctor, and I don't know if that's what you want, but the way you talk, I kind of think that's what you want. I don't know. Do you want this guy's phone number? And I had never heard anybody use that term before. I didn't really know what that was, but I said, yeah, probably. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I'd like to try something. It's been several years now, and obviously I'm quite discouraged. So that is when I started seeing my naturopath in Canton, Ohio. His name is Dr. Robert Powell, and I will link his page in this event, I guess, because he sees people remotely. If you can go in for the initial testing, the first visit, he will then see you via Skype or FaceTime or phone call or whatever. And I very much believe in what he does there and his abilities, his God-given abilities in what he does there. So I went and I saw him, and all of the testing was non-invasive. He actually had a Zyto that he used for his supplements, and did some other non-invasive testing, and sat me down, and he was like, yeah, your adrenals are shot, and this and this, and we talked it over, and he had me keep a food journal, and I came back, and he was like, you need to change the way you're eating. Which I knew. It wasn't great, but I, again, felt kind of like, I don't know. I eat better than most. And he pointed out to me, he's like, well, look at what you're having for breakfast. You're having a bowl of Rice Krispies. That's not good, actually. And it's not. But he's like, if you're still, if you really want to have the Rice Krispies, add a protein to it. You need to eat more protein. And protein with the carbs changes the way your body views it and the way your body breaks it down. It will change the way you feel and the way your health is. So I started with that. I started with the way I eat and the supplements that he recommended, and went from there. And as I was getting into this, I had started at home doing my own reading on other contributing factors that are less popular to be talked about in regards to difficulty conceiving, such as Teflon. Teflon is actually considered a large factor in infertility, and it is in so much cookware. So I had eliminated that. Got rid of my pans, got new pans, no Teflon, gone. Food storage, I had also changed, reading about plastics and how, especially, you put your leftovers in a plastic Tupperware, and then it sits in there for a couple days, and then you take it out of your fridge in the plastic Tupperware and you put it in the microwave, and you microwave it, which alters the DNA of the food itself, in addition to heating up the molecules in the plastic, which are then released also into your food, which you have already altered the DNA of. I had gotten rid of my microwave years prior. I think we've been microwave free for 5 or 6 years, because I had also studied up on that, and I was like, yeah, we're getting rid of this. This is gross. So, but the food storage was a new idea to me, something that my mom talked a lot about, and so I did reading on that and eliminated that. We switched to Pyrex glass food storage, and, it was a little bit of a process at first to change these things, but once they're done, right? And to me, nothing else mattered. Like, I was not spending money on diapers and baby food and clothes and soccer camp and music lessons and all of those things that go along with kids, because I didn't have any. So I was just going to spend the money there, and that was what was my priority. So I had been making these other changes all along the way as I was moving toward this. So I met Dr. Robert and I started doing the supplements. And one of the first things he said to me, he's like, if you're taking any over-the-counter supplements, anything that you got from Target or Walmart or Amazon or whatever, throw it away. It's not worth anything. There's nothing good in it. And talk to me about that and how, typically, and that was my first lesson. Not my first lesson, but the closest lesson in the difference of quality, and why when someone explained Seed to Seal to me in regards to Young Living, it made total sense. I'm like, I've already been over this. Yeah, exactly. It totally matters where you're getting, where you're getting your product from. So he did standard process supplements, which you can't get unless you're getting them from a licensed naturopath or a chiropractor or something like that. So I started taking the supplements. I had made all these changes at home, lifestyle changes. I started exercising regularly, and I had no idea what I was doing, but I just did it myself. I was like, well, I can buy some tapes. I can do some tapes at my house, and nobody knows what I'm doing. It's fine. And I can go for walks, long, fast walks that get my heart rate up and build strength and endurance. And again, I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm alone, but I'm doing it. And so I started doing that. I added that in, and I started to see change. For the first time in years, I saw change. And I started having a cycle right away. And it was crazy. It was still messed up and all of those things. And I knew this because he had me start taking my basal temperature, which I hadn't been doing because I didn't even know how to read it and what it meant and whatever. But that showed right away that things were not right, because your temperature should remain low for the first half of the month and peak on ovulation day, and then they should remain high until you either conceive and receive a positive pregnancy test or restart your cycle, and at that point it would drop. And of course mine were just, there was no pattern at all. But I started having this cycle, and quickly momentum built on itself. And within 3 months time, they had regulated to being monthly as opposed to just whenever. And I think by 9 months of seeing him and doing the supplements and making these changes myself, which again, I was doing on my own. I was having a textbook perfect cycle, coming regularly every 28 to 32 days, low temps to start, a peak, and then remaining high until the start of the next cycle. I had 0 symptoms, which is actually what we should all be doing. We shouldn't be having excessive cramping, excessive bleeding, bloating, the mood swings. All of that is not normal. And my doctor is a believer and was talking to me, and he's like, this is not, God did not create us to be sick. God did not create us to suffer this way. And just, we think because everyone is doing it, that it's normal. But there's a difference between common and normal. And it's not normal. He's like, it's not normal for you to experience all of these symptoms in regards to having a cycle. A little bit of cramping is normal because your body is doing something. It's sloughing off and shedding, and that's fine. He's like, but it shouldn't be to the point that you can't be comforted by simple measures. And of course, sadly, he does not use oils yet. So he wouldn't have made any of those types of suggestions to me, but he's like, a heat pad or rest, extra water, things like that. You really shouldn't even need to take an ibuprofen or something like that. That's not normal. Common does not equal normal. So by 9 months of doing this, I had achieved this textbook perfect cycle. And everything was good. I was feeling good. I had lost probably about 20 pounds, I think, maybe 15 to 20 pounds, and was at the perfect weight for my body size. I had stopped taking an allergy medication, a steroid, that I had actually been taking since I was 15 or 16 years old. And had tried probably half a dozen times to quit and could not before. I quit that with no blowback, no withdrawal of any kind. Just like one day was like, yeah, I'm not doing this anymore. And I stopped taking it. And I didn't have allergies anymore. And my vision improved. I stopped getting cavities. Every area of my life was getting better. I didn't have that low back pain that I had again come to associate as normal. I had more energy. I was resting better. Good, right? So this is all good. Sorry, my son's crying. I will give him just a minute and see if he settles. I'm going to keep going. So I had achieved this regular cycle. And this was all pre-oils. Okay, this is all a part of my story. See, I told you weren't going to like my story if you thought I was just going to tell you one oil and you were going to be perfect for the rest of your life. You're not going to like what I have to say, because that's not it. But as that happened, and then I had several more, when we moved into this, I'm living in optimum health and still not conceiving, is when my naturopath kind of very gently, and he had the right to approach me. We had established enough of a relationship, and he said, do you think maybe we should look at Jonathan? He's like, you've done everything I've asked you to do, and everything that I can find looks good, and you should be pregnant by now. So should we look at him? Do you want to look at him? Mom, you can let him up. Mom, just let him up. Let him up? Yeah. Sorry. If he wakes up and I'm not there, it's a big deal. Sorry. Come in here, buddy. I'm in here. Josiah. Do you want to sit with me? Okay, you're going to sit with me, okay? It's okay. It's okay. Sorry. It's okay. It's okay. We can be flexible. She'll just play in here, and she'll be pretty happy. Sorry. So that was when he asked me if we could take a look at Jonathan. And still, I said no. That's not it. And I don't know why, but I know that's not it. And this is just me, and this is just a part of why I believe so much in your own God-given intuition, in trusting your gut, and listening to yourself. Because I was right. I was right from the very beginning, and I was still right. And he was cool with that. He's like, okay, well, I just want to help you, and I kind of don't know what to suggest next in terms of another step beyond keep doing what you're doing and living well. And so about this time, we had become barely oily. My husband had insisted that we buy a starter kit. So we had a starter kit, and that was about it. And we were using oils very situationally. If this, then we'll use that, you know. If that happens, then we'll get out the lavender. If it's fall, we'll use thieves, type of a thing. Very reactionary, not as part of our lifestyle at all. And those of you who do not know me personally may not know that Denise Easton, who is the upline diamond for probably most of you who will be watching this, Denise Easton is my mom. And at the time, she would have been either gold or platinum. I know she was not diamond because I'm in her diamond leg. I'm a part of her qualifying leg, so she wasn't diamond. But I'm not sure. But she was very actively teaching and growing and working. And she came to me and she had half of a bottle of Believe, the essential oil blend. And I was gonna get my reference out and read the description to you, right? But I didn't get it. But Believe is just to encourage you in your faith walk. And so she offered it to me, and she was like, she didn't really say much with it. She's just like, this is for you. You need it. And I was very, no, I don't like that. You know, if you've learned very much about oils and heard of the emotional connection to oils, and how if you have an emotional issue that corresponds with that oil, you may really, really not like the scent of it. And I opened the bottle and smelled it, and I said, oh my gosh, no, that makes me think of like dead people and wilted flowers and funeral homes, and I don't want that. I don't need that. I'm not having that. No. And she said, she just kind of like pushed it back, and she's like, maybe you just take it, you know? You just take it. You don't have to put it on. Maybe just smell it sometimes, and try not to say those negative things when you do, okay? Just don't say those things, because you'll work against what it's trying to do. But maybe you just take it. And so I did. I took it. And if you've seen that movie, the newer one, Miracle on 34th Street, the little girl at the end when she's trying to believe in Santa, and she's rolling her eyes and sitting there, and she's like, I believe, I feel silly, but I believe, you know, and she's very dramatic. That was me, only I was a grown woman, and I would sit at my kitchen table when no one was home. Like, Jonathan wasn't allowed to be there. It was when he was at work and I wasn't, or whatever, and I would open it and set it on the table in front of me. I didn't want it to, you know, touch me or anything. And I would say that, you know, okay, I believe, I'm believing, whatever. And I did that for a while, and, like, it was okay. I was like, well, whatever, you know. But I didn't change anything else, and I tried